What's up, everybody? Welcome back, Math Unit 4, Worksheet 409. It's my favorite time of the year. No, it's not Christmas. It's not Halloween. It's trigonometry time. I'm so excited. Let's talk about triangles. Let's talk about angles and sides, sine, cosine, tangent, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent, all these words that freak people out. But what I'm going to do is break it down into simple steps and turn this language into ironworker language that we can all understand. And you're going to walk away in a few lessons going, I can't believe I thought this was so hard when I was in high school. It's really not that hard. That's why I like teaching it. So, because my favorite things are always the hard things that are really simple. Let's do this. So let's talk about words first. We're talking about hypotenuse, right? What's the hypotenuse of a triangle? Well, we're talking specifically about a type of triangle known as a right angle triangle, correct? That is always telling me it's 90 degrees. So what is the hypotenuse of this triangle? And the hypotenuse is always the longest side. It's the same thing we've been talking about, and we're still talking about it. H is the long side. Opposite. Now we have decisions to make. I'm going to go ahead and put a little symbol down here, which means angle. You might see it written down in your textbook, and that just means the angle. So for opposite and adjacent, I'm always looking from the angle given. So imagine this is my eyeball. I'm standing on this corner and looking in that direction across the triangle, okay? Wherever the angle is. I'm standing here, you know, look at, I'm happy. There's a smile on my face. I'm looking in that direction. The opposite is the far side, right? The opposite of where I'm standing is the far side, opposite. Okay? Then I've got adjacent. So in English, what does adjacent mean? Adjacent means beside something, next to something. It means beside it. It's next to it, which means that if I am standing at that angle looking across the triangle, that means that the leg beside me is the adjacent side, okay? Always. So the angle is where I'm standing. The angle beside me on one side is the hypotenuse, the longest side. The other angle beside me is the adjacent side. And the leg that I cannot get to, the far side away from me, is the opposite side of the triangle. So I've got an adjacent side, a hypotenuse, and an opposite side. Something else we need to know is that degrees. All right angle triangles add up to 180 degrees. So if that's a 90 degree in that corner, that means that the two angles left over will also equal 90 degrees, because 90 degrees plus 90 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, okay? So remember that. Those two remaining angles will always equal 90 degrees because a right angle triangle already has 90 degrees used up in the corner, and a triangle can only ever have 180 degrees in it. That's all she wrote. You can't get more. You add up three sides, you add up three angles, you get 180 degrees. So let's think about labeling, and let's think about these two triangles. What I want you to do is pause the video, draw these two triangles in your book or in your notebook, and then what I want you to do is label the sides for me. I want you to label the hypotenuse, I want you to label the opposite, and I want you to label the adjacent. And if you feel so inclined, you could also tell me what are the remaining angles on each of those triangles. Okay, so pause it and hit that up. So you remember from my last example, I'm standing in the corner where the angle is drawn and I'm looking across. I look across and the side opposite me that is I cannot get to, it's not touching me, is the opposite. The longest side of the triangle, which most definitely is over on this side, is the hypotenuse. And that means there's only one side left, the adjacent, and it also happens to be the side where I'm standing beside me, right? Adjacent to, longest side, and opposite of me. Well, then the question is, how many degrees are left, right? I've got 90 degrees in that corner. I know because that's what that box means. So 90 minus 45 equals, that means I have 45 degrees left over up top. So I've got 90, 45, and 45. I haven't even done any trigonometry yet. I'm already killing it. All right, let's look at this other one. So now I've got the angle. I am looking across the way, which means that the opposite is way over here, not touching. That means the hypotenuse is going to be the longest side, like always, and the adjacent side is this tall sucker that is touching the angle as well. All right, I've got 90 degrees down here. So 90 minus 40 equals 50. So this angle is 50 degrees. Simple so far. All right, let's do another one. Let's do another one. I'm feeling confident. All right, feeling confident. So what do? I draw a whole bunch of screwy looking triangles in all kinds of different directions with different angles on them. What I want you to do, of course, pause the video, take a crack at them, see what you come up with. All right. 51, I'm looking across. That means that this is the opposite. This is definitely the longest side, so that's the hypotenuse. And this side is the adjacent. That's 51 degrees. That's 90 degrees. There's 90 degrees left over. 90 minus 51. What's 90 minus 51? I actually use my calculator for that because I'm terrible at math. Don't tell anyone. 39 degrees. Okay. So then I've got this triangle looking across this way, which means this is my opposite. Well, this is the longest side, so that's the hypotenuse. And the side that is also touching the angle that is not the hypotenuse, it's beside the angle, is adjacent to it. And then I got 90 minus 48 means that up there I have 42 degrees. Cool beans. Let's do another one. Okay, so I got the angle here. I'm looking out in that direction. The opposite is over here. The hypotenuse is definitely that side because it's huge, which means the adjacent is that little guy beside the angle. And then I've got 90 degrees. I've got minus 56 degrees. And that leaves me with, well, 34 degrees up top, or down below, I guess. Well, let's look at this other one. We've got looking in that direction. That leaves opposite over there. This big old dang long side is the hypotenuse. And this other really long one that's pretty close to being the longest as well is the adjacent this time. Okay. And we've got 90 degrees. And we've got 30, which leaves us a leftover of 60 degrees on that angle. We're killing it. Okay, well, I hope you were as successful in that, as successful as I was. And we will come back in the next chunk and start looking at sine, cosine, and tangent.